Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason. Today on the show, we have Ryan Warner Codes. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm well. How are you doing, Jason?
I'm doing well. So, Ryan, you've been in the Party Corgi community for as long as I can remember, and you fill a multitude of roles. You've worked on the Party Corgi website. You're lovingly known in our Fortnite community as Ryan Warner Builds. You yes, I love it. I did. Oh, that is genius. I've never thought to use Zoom backgrounds as a slideshow before that.
Yeah, I thought the main thing I wanted to figure out today is where we're dropping Jason. Is it going to be pleasant or maybe friendly?
Yeah, go right into frenzy. It will end this game fast. Excellent. So for those of us who aren't familiar with you and your work, do you want to give us a background?
Absolutely. So yeah, hi all. I'm Ryan, a designer and coder, kind of hybrid. I'm on a mission to bridge the gap between code, engineering, and design. I think more specifically, it's to help developers learn design, but both ways for sure. I think having some design knowledge can help you be a better developer. You don't need to be a master of design or branding or do it full time to gain a lot of value as an engineer and better empathize with our coworkers, our users, etc.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and that is kind of what we're after today, right? Is how can we as developers take advantage of these tools to get better outcomes? And so we were going to look into Figma. So before we start, quick shout out. We have live captions going at LWJ. What is it? LWJ.dev/live. If you want to, what was that? That's weird. Who am I logged in as? It's like not letting me post to my own chat. But yeah, so if you want to go to the lwj.dev/live, we have live captions going right now by White Coat Captioning. Thank you to Lindsay for your help with that today. The captions are made possible in part by sponsorships from Netlify and Fauna. We are still looking for additional sponsors because it's expensive to make this happen, but we do want to make sure that the show is accessible to everybody. So definitely, reach out if you would like to take part in making streaming more accessible to more people. With that being said, Ryan, we're going to work on Figma today, but how do you want to do that? What do you want to actually do?
Yeah, good question. So I love to walk through some of the ways I use Figma and demonstrate some of the features I find really powerful and kind of draw some metaphors or lines between Figma features and the way we code. And to do that, I was thinking we could use Learn with Jason, the website, which I think you designed mostly in code. So there is no design file that exists for that.
Right. It's largely just me saying that needs to be on the page, and then I do CSS until I don't hate it anymore.
Yes. And designing in code is awesome. And it can definitely be a way to move really fast. But sometimes you want that playground where that Play-Doh where you can just kind of move things around and see how it looks before taking the time to push it in code. So yeah, if we could go into Figma and bring up your website and just start kind of recreating it and looking at the Figma features as we go.
So let me pull up my website. Get it over here. All right, so this is Learn with Jason. And so what we've done is it's kind of set up with basically there's this gradient that I learned how to do from Mandy Michael, which is, where is it? Here's the episode where we did that. It was super fun.
This was a really fun episode.
And you should go play with it because it was really fun. But then, so it's kind of like the homepage is a list of things. So it's the most recent episodes, which is links to videos. So if we click into one of these, it shows us the YouTube video up top and then details about it here. So who the guest was, where the demo and repo are, links to resources, like these big gnarly links here that at some point I'd love to fix. It's always more things than time, right? Then we've got the schedule. So what's coming up, and that's a list of upcoming things. So this is a placeholder image, and then the title, guest, description, and a link. This will take you to Google Calendar to actually add it to your calendar. If you go in, it's the episode description, and that's basically it, right? The rest of the stuff on here, we've got a blog. The blog is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of magic here. My about page is just text. I've got this newsletter opt-in, which, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. If you want to get lots of great web design content, you can find that on my website. And then we also
subscribe
have
to that.
Yeah, Ryan Warner subscribes.
That's right.
I've got a workshops page that is also just plain text, and a store page, which, announcement. The stickers are shipping now. So if you want to get your hands on any of these fun stickers, you need to boop your laptop. They're actually mailing now. So we figured out how to safely ship them so that it's not putting anyone at risk to get them in the mail. And you can get them now. So go grab that sticker pack. That is the whole website, right? So that's what we've got. It's very straightforward. Everything was kind of built in a utilitarian way. I needed this page, so I put that page together. It wasn't really thought of as part of a system. It was thought of as, this is the problem I have, and this is the problem I'm going to solve.
Right. And that worked really well. I love your site, how it is right now. But eventually you might want to clean things up, or as it grows and evolves, you might want to be more consistent and think about design in a more holistic way. Absolutely. So this could be our first step towards that.
Yeah.
To start, I think we could take some screenshots of maybe the home page and one other page in dark mode and light mode, and then bring that into Figma and kind of start recreating it. If you want to take a full page screenshot, I don't know if that's what you're doing right now with that tool you have.
Definitely not what I was doing.
So if you bring up the Chrome inspector,
wait,
developer
shortcut
tools
for that? This is the one I was in the wrong window. I was like, why isn't this opening? Oh no, get my email out of here. What have I done? There we go.
Perfect. So Command-Shift-P here will bring up a little search menu. And if you start typing in the word screenshot, we'll get a capture full-size screenshot. And that'll just scroll us down the page and take a screenshot of the whole thing.
Oh, this is going to go poorly because we have so many episodes on this page.
True. I didn't think of that ahead of time. There is a lot of episodes.
Oh, it worked.
Hopefully the file is not too big for.
Let's see. We can do we needed to do it in light mode. So let's go. What was it? Command-Shift-P?
Command-Shift-P.
Screenshot. This is fun.
Yeah, I use this tool a lot especially when I'm starting a new project, gathering inspiration.
No kidding. Yeah, I feel like this alone was worth the price of admission. Okay, so let's maybe go over here. We'll look at the store, do the same thing. Screenshot. Put it in dark mode. Screenshot. Nope, that was the wrong one. Screen full size. Okay. So now I think we've got that, and I have the price was free. You're right, it was. Okay, so here's what I've got now. I put together a Figma document. So this is just the Figma website. I'm just hiding the toolbar to give us more space. I've named it up here, so I just typed in, gave it a name. And that's all I've done. That's as far as I've gotten right now. So let me, I guess, share this with you. Do you want me to, are you cool with me using your email, or do you want me to pull this off screen?
You can use my email,
okay.
ryan@warner.codes.
Oh, there you are. And we'll give you editing permissions, send an invite, and then let's do anyone with the link can view, and I'll just drop this in chat. So if y'all want to come hop in with us and watch us code, you can do that right in Figma. So then, yeah, look at people hopping in. Awesome. It's Prince.
Hey, Prince. Anonymous. I'm in there now too. Awesome. So yeah, this is like the first.
This is going to be full-blown chaos. I love it.
Yes. The first feature that is worth pointing out is that it's real-time collaborative, which is kind of groundbreaking for a design tool. I came from Sketch and before that Photoshop, and none of those tools really supported this the way Figma does.
Yeah.
And it really allows Figma or design to be a collaborative process, kind of same way coding is, where you can, both have the code checked out and be working on it at the same time.
Where did these screenshots go? Did they go to my
downloads folder? Probably
downloads folder. Oh, and they're called www is why I can't find them. So I'm going to place an image, go to downloads, www, and if I just select them all, place all. Look at all these faces. I love it. I'm so happy to see everybody in here. Did that not work? Let me take this out of full screen for a second because I think it's easier to just drag them in.
Yeah, you can drag and drop them in.
Okay, let's drag 1. Drag 2. Don't you explode on me, Compooper. 3 and 4. All right.
So we can kind of move these off to the side.
So now we've got these images here. Okay.
And just before we really start designing here, I want to point out that you can hide the cursors, the multiplayer cursors, if you want to. Okay. In the top right, there's like a percentage button for zoom, but that's really your whole view menu. And at the very bottom, there's an option called multiplayer cursors that you can turn it off if it becomes too distracting.
Do you see people petting the corgi over here?
Yes. Maybe we want to keep him on for this because this is pretty cool.
This is fun. All right, so we've got everybody over here petting corgis. Appreciated. Yes. Okay. So, all right. So we've pulled in kind of the site as it is now, and from here we have. Did these blur? Oh, I bet they're like lazy loaded, and Chrome captured them as they were lazy loading.
That could be. That's totally fine for our case.
Yeah, I think we're okay for that. So we've got like a few of the elements, the more designed elements, right? Like the store is reasonably designed, like it's an actual grid layer or a grid layout. The headers of pages is designed, and then these episode card layouts are designed. And I dropped a link to this. Let me go back full screen so that we can see more of what's going on. So in here now we've got all of the guts. So once you have this, where would you start next? Or I guess once you have your resources,
right. So next I'd start by creating a frame, and you can do that by hitting the F key, or in the top left, you can see what's selected there. And now we get some presets on the right-hand side there, and we're going to work at desktop today.
Okay.
So we can expand the desktop and probably start with the biggest one, the 1440 at the top. So now we have a nice space to work and get started working. And we can make this taller if we'd like.
Okay. So we can just drag that right on down.
Yeah, yeah. And then I'd like us to start with the navigation, kind of just work top to bottom. And the navigation is a pretty complex component.
Okay.
So it'll expose us to a lot of the different features that Figma has to offer. So if we could bring the screenshot, maybe the dark mode, and just get that navigation close to our frame so we can kind of start copying it.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm maybe going to do is just bring it in.
Sure, that works.
And we'll make it the width of our desktop here. Oops. What did I just do? I'm like changing the frame instead of the...
Yeah.
What is that?
Maybe try hitting K before you resize.
There we go. That was the button.
So that
I
brings
needed.
us into scale mode.
This is complicated when your image is this. Is that good enough? That's good enough. I'm gonna work from there. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we have our navigation. Is that gonna... Okay, maybe this is the... Oops. Didn't mean to explode that.
If that image is too big, you can just take a screenshot of the nav or the top header.
I think if I use this one instead, we'll be in better shape because that one's a little less... This one's a little less intense. Okay, so let's shrink this down, bring this up. Now we can actually see what's going on. Okay, so let's do it. We have a... That's probably not what I want. I want to make this a little bit... How do I show hide that UI? Click here. So I want to do like probably a rectangle.
A rectangle, yep. So now we're drawing, we're designing.
Okay.
The hotkey for rectangle is R, and then you can just click and drag. So that's a nice background to get us started. We can grab the color. I think, is it a gradient, a slight gradient?
This one I think is like a really complicated gradient that I don't actually love. It was like a holdover from an older version of the site. Because I think what it's doing is it's like a dark gray, but then it fades some like greens and pinks over the top at like weird opacities and blend modes. And it was cool for like a minute, but it's not the right. All right,
we can scrap that then. Maybe just pick a color from it and, and go with a solid fill.
Okay, so I've got this, and then I click on the fill, and I can just grab this eyedropper and go in here, and there's like the colors kind of subtly shift, but this seems... Let's go with a darker one over in the left. Okay, that seems okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Cool. So how about we start with some nav items?
Yes.
Episodes, schedule.
All right, so let's make these... The font that I use is Mallory. And let's make it white so we can see it. Or I guess, I don't know if I change these to like a subtle off-white, but let's just grab that. Come on.
Looks like it is pure white.
Oh, you suck. All right, Mallory. Now I'm going to select a color. It is pure white. You are correct. Okay. And then I can make this a little bit bigger. That is definitely not the font that I chose. Okay.
There we go.
All right. That's looking all right. So then I can make these... I can move these really fast. I'm going to hold Alt and just drag.
Drag out a copy.
Yeah,
yep.
And then I can just edit these really fast. Oops. And then if I hit... What is it? Command return, it deselects so that I don't have to like click out. That's a good one for me. About workshops and store.
So we can pause right here and just talk about what's going on. Like if we were coding this, there would be some classes involved for consistency. Like we'd probably have a color token for the white, maybe a font size, the font family,
right,
line height, those kind of things. So in Figma, we can kind of do the same thing using what they call linked styles. So to start, let's start with a color.
Okay.
So we have this fill here, the FFF, and you can see, yeah, you're in the right area on the fill pane there. And there's this icon for 4 dots there on the right, top right-ish. And this lets us create a color style.
Nice. Okay. So I'm going to hit plus.
Yeah, we're going to add a new one.
And I guess we'll probably... Go ahead.
We could just call this text or white or something. But thinking ahead a little bit, I know you've got a dark mode and a light mode.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure if they're the same. The text color here is the same between the dark mode and the light mode. But to show off a Figma feature, we can prefix this with a namespace.
Okay.
So we could call this like dark slash text.
Like that?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then create style. And you'll see that dark slash is magic in Figma land.
That's cool. All right. I'm on board. And so I can actually like make this.
Yeah.
Like what? And if I do that, does it still work?
Yep. It should still work.
Oh, cool. I like that. So then you can give like meaningful labels. That's really nice.
Exactly. You can group your colors, and you can imagine on a giant application, you might have many of those.
And so with these, then I can just select all of these.
Right. Just hold shift and click, and then go back to our color styles and select that. And now let's change that color, and we can see that it updates all of them.
Oh, that's nice. That's really, really handy. And like, so one of the things that I've noticed is like, I was a designer for a long time before I was a developer. And one of the things that consistently bit me is that I would make these complicated comps, and then I would get feedback that was like, oh, we need to change the font. And it would throw off everything. Like my line heights would get weird. We'd need to adjust like weights and stuff like that. And suddenly the whole design would just kind of fall apart and have to get reconstructed from like, not completely from scratch, but like definitely had to get seriously reworked. And a lot of that came down to the fact that like you couldn't just go in and universally change things. You had to go in and manually select each layer and then change it. And then, it was just a lot of pain to make that work. So this is, and I don't think Figma is the first place to get this, but it feels like this is an app that's gotten it right.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Design tools of the past were very fragile. And like you were saying, they're, resistant to change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, kind of why I love coding so much, is because you can kind of, the way you design your application can be the opposite of that and be very easy to change. And like you said, Figma is really nailing that in the design world. And we can take that a step further now. We've got our color style, but we've got weird padding going on, right? This padding is not consistent between
we got big gaps. It's all weird.
Right. And that's totally fine to just get our ideas out. But now we want to kind of tighten this up. Okay. And we can do that using a feature called auto layout. And to enable auto layout, what we need to do is select all of our nav items.
Okay.
And then let's group them with Command G. And you can see on the left-hand side in the layers palette, everything kind of collapsed under this group. We could name this group if we want. That'd be good practice.
That's how my brain works. I can't not do it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So now we've got a group. And on the right-hand side in the design panel, there is a button about in the middle, vertically in the middle, down, called Auto Layout. Yeah. So if we click this, we're going to see a couple things happen. So our spacing just tightened up, just tidied itself up automatically for us.
That is awesome.
So it just inferred that based on the total width of all of our nav items. And then, you're exploring some of the new options that we have that were previously not available. So horizontal is what we want here.
Holy crap. Okay, I've never used this feature before, and my mind is thoroughly blown. That is amazing.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it feels a lot like how we code.
Holy buckets! Did that? So oh my god, look at it go!
Exactly.
Look at this! Holy crap,
so
y'all!
You can adjust that padding in one place, and it's just consistent for all of our nav items.
Auto height, fixed height. Okay, so if I go to auto height, maybe I want to add some padding. And then what happens if can you make it flow to multiple lines and stuff? Does that work too?
I don't think so. Not without some more complicated setup.
Sure.
I'm not sure we'll get into that today, but you can like nest auto layout groups. But yeah, we'll get into that another episode 2.
Yeah, that is very, very cool stuff. Okay, so now we've got this set up, and let's. I'm not happy with the size of these, so I need to change them down. Maybe what I want to do is go in here, and let's figure out a better text size. Like, 28 seems good, right? And then maybe I want to go. No, I don't want to do that. I think bold is fine. But then I can do a text style with this too, it looks like.
Exactly. Just like we did the color style, we can link other styles together, like the text properties, or if we wanted to add a shadow or a stroke here, we could also create styles, or how I like to think of it, classes.
Okay. So now I'm going to choose the nav item. And so that means that if I go into my styles and I say I want to make these smaller, they all, I guess I only selected one of these. Let's select all of them and set them to be nav item. Okay. So now if I go to my nav item and adjust it, they'll all, and look at that. It's updating my padding too. So the auto layout works with these styles.
Exactly. So we still cool. Retain that consistent pixel padding, whatever it is, 30 or something, as the font size grows.
That's amazing. All right. I am thoroughly impressed. All right. So then I have, what do you want to do next?
We could flesh out the nav a little bit more.
Okay.
And then talk about components. So we're missing 3 or 4 things here. We got the Learn with JSON logo, the Live Now, the light mode toggle, and then the gradient at the top.
Let's grab the logo. I've got that open in another screen, so we can just drop that right in. Beautiful. And then I'm hitting K so that I'm using the scale, because I think this is like a complex shape that I don't want to overthink here. So I'm just going to scale it on down. We can drop that in here. And it looks like I put that almost to the top. That's pretty close. We'll leave that there for now. There's a question in the chat. Where's my chat? Duran says, does Figma let you know the complexity implications for developers from the design you create?
I think that's kind of a tough question to answer. If I had to give a yes or no answer, I would say no. I think that's kind of up for the developer to interpret how complex this design is. Auto layout could give you some cues. Same with the linked styles. Could also give you some idea of where things should be consistent.
I found a code button. Look at it.
Yeah, just take a look at that. We got the auto layout comments, and it tells you kind of how this would be in code. And sometimes you can copy and paste this straight out. Some of the positioning stuff isn't quite.
Yeah, that's
like
not
the
what
left
you
and
want.
the top. Not quite what you'd want. We could probably clean that up a little bit with constraints, which we'll maybe get to today. But things like gradients, complex gradients, or box shadows, those are just a pain to kind of pull out from the design panel. So I often come to this code panel and just copy that. If I have like 3 box shadows going on.
Oh, that's so nice. And just like thinking about, and like this is all stuff that once you know it. Like it's relatively straightforward to just go in and write a display flex or whatever. But like if you don't know this stuff and you're like, okay, well, how do I get these to flow properly? Being able to copy paste it out it feels like a superpower. That's really nice to know. Like, well, it looks like this. If I copy paste this, it's going to be close.
100%.
That is really, really nice. So then I guess the next thing would be we need gradient. So I'm going to press R for another rectangle. Now it looks like it's about, we'll call that 10 pixels. So let's go up here. I'm going to create one. Oh, shit. What did I just do? Hello? Never mind.
That was funny.
Don't know what I just did. I think I hit one of my shortcuts, my shortcuts of like swiping on my trackpad. All right, so I drew a rectangle, and I don't really want to do this by like eyeball, so I'm going to do it with this command thing over here. So what was it, 1280?
I think it's 1440.
1440. All right, and then let's make it 10 pixels tall. Okay, that seems about right. It's close enough. Close enough for horseshoes and hand grenades, right?
Yeah.
So let's go find. You said you wanted the gradient next.
Yes. Let's get that gradient on there.
Okay. So I'm gonna do this by let's make rectangles. I'm gonna make like 3 little boxes because I have 3 colors in my gradient, and so we'll grab those colors out, and then we'll build a gradient. So here's the pink. Here is the yellow. And then we've got a like light blue tealy kind of color. Okay, so those are the 3 colors of the learn with Jason gradient. So then if I go in here, I'm not sure how to do, like, what do I do to make this a gradient?
Sure. So click the little square of the color swatch. Yeah. And then in the top left, you see where it says solid?
Mm-hmm.
There's like a drop down there. So here we have, click that, and we have some options.
Ooh.
Different types of gradients. We could use an image as a fill if we wanted to. In our case, we're going to go for the linear gradient.
Okay.
And it's going to go top to bottom by default. Yeah, go ahead and fit the colors in there, and then we'll switch the orientation.
Okay.
And then to add a third color, just click on that top gradient area. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So then I'll click this. All right. So this is looking that's not quite right. I mean, we're getting there, I guess. So then I can just move these.
Yeah. So those handles there, we can change the angle to whatever we'd like.
Okay.
We probably want to drag the left one to the far left and then the right one to the far right. It'd be nice if there's a programmatic or way to type this stuff in. I'm not sure if that exists, but looks like you got it handled perfectly.
Okay. So now we have the gradient. Like, it looks almost the same. It looks like maybe there's like positioning is a little different on the other one, but it's all right. It's all good. So this is like, it's kind of coming together.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're gonna need to tighten it up at some point, but that's okay. I think it'd be cool to do the live now button. We can kind of revisit auto layout and show a different side of it.
Yeah, let's do that. So I will make, and this button, I hate this button. So if you want to help me make it look less terrible, I am all about it.
For now, let's just recreate it as is.
Fine. I thought this was my stream where I was going to trick you into doing free design work.
that could be the next one. That'll be the next one.
Okay. So I have a couple things going on here that I'm not sure that we should walk through how to do. So we've got rounded corners and this like icon
circle
thing.
And some text.
And so I guess I can do the icon thing first. We'll just do a little circle. Let's say that's going to be like 12. This chain is clicked, which means it'll keep the aspect ratio, which I love. And then we can make this. Actually, you know what we should do? We should make these into colors.
Beautiful. You're getting the hang of it.
Let's go in here, and we will say, how would you group these if you were gonna like make these into a thing?
I think how you started will work fine. Just like LWJ / pink. Yeah.
Okay.
Because these aren't going to change based on light or dark mode. They might, but as far as I know, they don't.
I don't think I did that.
Let me check. Yeah, the gradients stay the same between the two modes.
I don't know if that's actually teal, but that's what it always looks like in my head.
Works for me.
So now I've got those, and so I can make this. We want to make. Sorry, this will be this like pink color.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then, did you see how like when I drag this around, it shows me these lines? So it shows me when it's centered, and I can see it's kind of probably hard to see on the stream. But if you look at the edge of the white box, there's a little X that shows that we're looking at the center of the box, as opposed to like when it extends beyond, we're aligned with something else. So I can see here that I'm actually aligned with the box itself.
Yeah, that's a great call out.
The other thing that I love about Figma that I learned recently is that if you hold Alt, it'll show you how far away it is from stuff. So check this out. I am currently 8.94 pixels away from the left side of this box. Isn't that magical? It's so helpful for trying to figure out where you're actually going to be. So then I can like tweak this a little bit and say this is going to be, or no, I don't want it to be there. I want it to be like, I don't know.
I use that feature all the time, like taking a design that maybe gets handed off to me and I'm trying to, turn it into a React application or something. And I need that exact padding or margin value. Holding that alt there is just so handy.
Mm-hmm. Hey, thanks for stopping by, B Dougie. Good to see you. Okay, so this is, I don't know. Let's do like 40. Whoa, 45 is what I meant to do. And then if I want to, so what if I I didn't use, so I just broke my vertical centering. So what can I do to vertically center if I want to make sure that dot is like in the middle of the thing?
Yeah, so if you want to do that without kind of clicking and dragging and praying, you can select both layers, the circle and our rectangle.
Okay.
And then in the top right, we have an alignment panel, very tippy top right. Yep. So the vertical align center.
Align vertical center.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Or option V.
There we go. And now we are still, yeah, I've got 10 pixels away. We've got like even space. We can see our even spacing on the top and bottom, 16.5. And then our width on this thing is a little bit weird. So maybe we make it like 140 so that it's an even number. That works. Okay, so then I need my live now text. So let's just live now. We'll make that Mallory again. And this one, I think. Oh yeah, what's up?
Which one of the items gets moved on alignment? Both, and can I choose that? So it is both. Like if we had maybe 10 things that were all not quite aligned vertically center, and we selected them all and did the alignment, they would all kind of move. I don't think we can choose which one moves when we do that.
I've noticed like it tends to attempt to be smart. So if you've got like 4 things that are aligned and one that's not, it usually won't move the 4 things that are aligned.
Yes.
But what I've noticed is like I tend to do something where, so like once I get all of this, if I vertically align these, they end up vertically aligned, and that, like, we're not done here yet, but I'll show you what I would do. So then I would like group this and call this my like live now button. Then I can do something like I can select my live now button and I can select this nav, and then I can vertically align those. And then I can do something like, if I really needed to, I could even like group this and call it like nav items or like nav content. And then I could select my whole thing and vertically align. Oops. Not that one. What did I just click in here? This one and this one. And then I could vertically align that. And it would, so there's like ways that you can kind of use grouping to make things align without breaking your other alignments.
Yep. Well said.
Okay, so I need to make this better. Oh, I'm going to show you another thing. So you see how these are in groups? This is another thing that like really, really helped me. Is so I want to select the text, but if I click, I'm not in the group. But if I hold Command, it'll let me select a thing inside the group, and it'll jump down to the thing I clicked. That saves me a ton of time.
For sure. It's called clicking through the group by holding command. And yeah, I use that all the time too.
Okay, so I need your advice here. If you were going to do like, I think I just use different size text here. Would you like shrink the text down to have like a similar height, or would you use the same size and just like use baselines?
I think it's totally fine to have a bit of a size increase here. I think this should stand out a little bit. It is kind of an important thing that happens not very often each day on your site. And then I'd probably vertically align center rather than align baseline.
Okay.
Which I think is what you had before.
Yeah, I think that's where it was. That looks about right.
Yep.
That's
cool.
That's good enough. Okay, so then I need to do we missed the rounded edges. So if I want to do that, where do I go?
In the top right, in our positioning, there's a rounded corner
option. A thing that looks like a rounded corner.
Yep, corner radius, and then we can type in a number we want.
Okay, so
6 looks about right.
That's close enough. We'll keep it. Okay.
Cool. So now let's enable auto layout on this too, just like we did for the navigational items.
Okay, so I made a couple messes here. I did some grouping. So we've got a few things going on. We've got our, let me label these, top gradient. We have our, oh, that must be the one that I was trying to draw when I broke everything. So let's get rid of that. Then we've got our nav background. And then, so I've already grouped this. Should I get rid of this group if we're gonna do, where's my logo? Here's my logo.
We can keep it for now. I want to enable auto layout on the Live Now button specifically, which is already a group that's named.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna auto layout.
Yep. So now let's type something different in our button. Like maybe we don't need the now. Maybe we just want live with 3 exclamation points instead. And you'll notice the background is adapting to the text.
Whoa.
We're retaining our padding, consistent padding, as the text changes. And this is really useful for, really common components like a button. You might have a submit button that has the same styles as your learn more button.
Okay, hold on. So this is amazing.
Yes.
What happens if I want 2 buttons?
If you want 2 buttons
and they have different text?
Different text. Yes.
Does it still work?
That's a great question. It will still work. We could do that right now. We could create 2 Live Now buttons.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay, show me how to do it.
All right. So we've got our Live Now button. It's got auto layout. It's grouped just like we want it. So all we need to do is turn it into a component. And in the top center of Figma, we got some options here. And that's the one right there. Create component or option command K. And you'll notice
it just
changes to purple. Yeah.
Okay.
In our layers palette, we got purple with a little icon, the 4 diamonds.
Right.
And so from here, we can copy and paste it.
Okay, so I'm going to copy, paste. Oh, and now it's different.
Correct.
Okay.
So we can go into what that means in a second. We can think about this like if you're familiar with React, this is just a component. So if you just like a component would change everywhere, all the instances of it would change everywhere. If you change one of them, that will happen here too in Figma. So if we change the color of,
look at it go.
It's propagating to all of our instances.
That's awesome.
So it does work a little bit different than it does in code in that there is a master component and then instances of that master. And we can see which one is the master by the little icon
here
next to it in the layers palette. Yes.
Yeah.
So we've got those 4 diamonds, and then the copy is just one big empty diamond. So there's only
Yeah.
ever one master component, and that master, you can change things like layout, what elements exist in the component, positioning of things in the component. In the instances, you can still change things, kind of like props being passed down to a component in React.
You can.
But yes, but you can't change things like positioning or adding new layers.
Okay.
So back to what you're saying before is having two buttons that have different text on them.
Mm-hmm.
In our instance, we can create an override, and that override is just going to be our text. And there's no special thing we need to do. We can just double click on that text and type something else.
It looks like it was like trying, and then
it tried and didn't quite. That's kind of weird.
That's the curse of trying to do things live, right? So let's see what's.
I'm actually going to pull one out and see.
And there's a question. There is so with a component, would you want to pull this out into like a named component library as opposed to having it in this frame? Because like obviously as this grows, we're going to be using it across different pages. Like we'll have, different layouts and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you usually organize your components?
Yeah, good question. I tend to keep my master components in one page. You can see here we're on page 1 in the top left. Yeah, you can drop that down and we can see all of our pages.
So we can
by
do
default,
something
that's
like
collapsed.
this.
Yeah.
And then we could take like
bring our masters in there
into here.
Yep.
Oh wait, I did that wrong. So I'm going to cut, paste. Okay, so now I've got my button here. But the other thing that's
just fixed itself.
The boop just fixed itself. What gives?
Yeah, I don't know.
But so when you do this, now we've got like this kind of, this is where the master components live, and then our design's out here. If you click assets, we can pull these in then. So then you
we have a little
like
library. Yep, it's just like kind of getting built up as we go, as we make new master components. And then we can just click that assets tab and drag and drop and place them wherever. And then maybe we're designing here and we realize that we want to change something about this component that is not just a color or a text value, something that requires a master component. We can actually select our instance and then right click it. I'm going to have you do that.
Right click.
See my screen. Right click and then master component there. Go to master and push overrides to master. So here it's going to teleport us to the master component and we can make whatever changes we want. And then maybe we wanted to change some things that, we want actually, this text to be read everywhere. We could push the overrides.
So if I actually let's do that right now. Let's figure out what because I know, well, actually I don't know. I think I'm using a slightly less than black. I am. So I have a different color for dark text. And that's a tip that I picked up from another designer. And of course I've now forgotten who it was. But that your whites, like you shouldn't have both completely white and completely black because it can be a little much to look at. It's hard on the eyes. But if you have a like pure white, then you can just turn your black down a little bit and it makes it a little bit more less visually stressful.
Yeah.
So with this one, we can say like button text, I guess, because the button, no, that's not what I want. So I actually want to make this like dark mode button text. Does that work? That'd be cool if that just worked.
I think it does. Don't remember.
Dark mode / button. And then you
might only be able to go one level deep there.
It only let me do the one level deep. That's okay, but we can fix it like this.
There
So
we go.
these will still be grouped. Yeah, there we go. So I've got named things. I can see I've got my text, I've got my button text. And so I've now changed this, and we actually do want to push this through. So I would go to master and then push overrides.
Exactly.
And then if I go to the component, it's been updated.
Beautiful.
That's so cool. The actual thing, not just the name. Oh, that's because of the we're in the assets panel. That it gives you like a list of all of your components. So then we can come in here, and then what happens? So I mean, we're in pretty good shape. It looks like I've got like a tiny copy of the gradient at the bottom. So I can copy this, let's drag it down, and then we'll change this one to bottom gradient bar, and I think it's like 2 pixels maybe. Nope, it's 1 pixel. It's a little baby. And then we'll just make sure it matches up. Cool. So that doesn't show up much on the light background, but if I take like a rectangle over here, and we'll make it the dark background, and then
I believe that's the same color as your button text.
Oh, it is. Okay, so we
could just grab that
probably
color
not
style.
A terrible idea. So now we can see like that's looking pretty similar. Like, you know, we've got some spacing differences and stuff like that. And that's actually kind of an interesting thing to think about. Do we want, like, are we overcomplicating things if we start like auto layouting everything?
Not necessarily, and we could always roll it back if it isn't feeling quite right. It really depends how we group the children here. So like if we have the logo as a child element, and then all the nav items grouped together as a child element, and then maybe the switch, which doesn't yet exist, but that could also be its own group, and then we give that auto layout, and we can kind of see what happens.
Yep, that's looking pretty good. And then I can kind of shrink these down a little bit. Let's say we want like 40 pixels. That's good.
All right. Let's add another nav item and see what happens. Just make one up, maybe a boop page.
Okay. So to do that, I go into my nav items, and I'm going to copy paste.
Look at that. Just moves everything right over, including the Live Now button, because of auto layout being on its parent.
That is incredible. Okay, so that's so useful. Unbelievably useful. And then we can kind of move the whole thing around a little bit, try to get it lined up. We'll just kind of visually align it. I don't really care if that little flag goes off screen. So that's really cool. That is really, really powerful stuff, I think. Okay, so from here, what do you want to do next?
How much time do we have left?
We've got like 30-ish minutes. Let me double check.
Cool. I think we have time to like double down on the component and the component overrides to talk about light mode and dark mode. And then maybe we could take a look at a brief overview of some other features like plugins as we wrap up.
Yeah.
So
AliPixel, yes, it does save your work automatically. That is one of the things that I like the most about it. I don't know if you were here when I accidentally navigated away from the page, but I was trying to draw a rectangle, and when I did that, I like swiped to go back to the previous page and broke everything, and that caused I thought I lost my work, but then I found that rectangle later because it had actually saved it before it navigated. Oh, and it looks like somebody found the comment feature. Okay, this is the risky click of the day. I hope somebody isn't being terrible. Let's find out.
It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, it's Nikki.
I checked it out.
Hey, yes. Hello. So this is also another really, really useful thing. Where is our desktop here? So like if Ryan was doing if Ryan was doing this design and I was like, came in here, it's like, love the idea here, but we can't ship this. Then I can post this comment, and he's now able to see my feedback in place. So you're able to like redline the document, and it's such a and it's all part of the real time experience, right? And so we haven't really talked about the real time experience because I have not like we just haven't been doing it. But like another thing that's really cool here is like, Ryan, if you want to maybe like remove that boop, I am going to do a quick mock-up of this this button. So what we're able to do now is like we're able to both work in the document at the same time, and it like we can see what each of us is doing, which is just incredibly powerful. And so I think that is something that is very worth. Like, I feel like the collaborative benefits that it gives us, I've just noticed that I enjoy designing a lot more now on a team that I have access to Figma, because I can go to a designer and say like, hey, let's do that.
Absolutely. And like having a basic understanding of some of the things we're talking about here can apply not just to design, but like we could come in here and brainstorm, how we're going to architect some WebSocket application or something, right? And it can be like a whiteboard almost, especially in this like remote world that we're living in now. We can kind of come in here and just mind meld, and we don't have to be great designers or artistic in order to use Figma and gain a lot of value from it.
Absolutely. I don't know where this purple came from. Is that even in my color palette, or did I just make a color up? Who knows? I probably just made a color up.
It's in the avatars, I think, on the thumbnails for each.
Oh, you know what I bet it is?
It's also in the logo.
Yeah, that's what it is. So I can. Oh, okay. So here's another thing that's worth looking at. I have selected a thing, and then if I like can't change to a different color, so there's a button you can click. You just click this little unlink, and then you can come in here and like choose a different color.
Yeah. So now it's unlinked from the style, and we can just pick whatever we want.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is a navbar. And so you said the next thing that you wanted to do was it component overrides or?
Yeah, we could look at like, what does this look like in light mode, and how do we keep our component architecture going between the light mode and the dark mode? We also have a question in the chat. Can I import sketch files into Figma? Yes, you can. I have not done that personally, so I don't know like exactly how well that works, but it is possible.
I've done it, and it's pretty nice. Like, it does a really good job.
Okay, cool.
Oh, what's up? I didn't even see you in here, Darpan. Also, thanks for hanging out, y'all. What a great way to spend a Thursday morning. It is Thursday, right? Time has lost all meaning for me. I'm like, it's today. The sun is bright. It must be time for coffee. That's
same. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee.
March 75th. That is how it feels.
It's March 75th.
Okay, so I've created a duplicate here, and
okay.
I actually think, if I'm remembering correctly, I don't think I changed my nav between the light and dark mode, but let's do it. And
the background color does change. Everything else is the same, I believe, but the background color changes. So maybe before we duplicate,
here we go. Okay, so, oh, that's awesome, Linda. Happy to hear it. Yeah, I think that like anytime that you're ready for a redesign, another episode that I would definitely encourage you to check out is the Dan Mall episode, because he has such amazing thoughts on how to think about working between design and like it's really good about like thinking between design and development, how to frame your thinking around design systems in general, and like the fact that whenever you start building anything, you are building a design system, whether you meant to or not. Like the choices you make about how things look is a design system. And there's some really interesting discussion in there on the difference between like an emergent design system, which is one that evolves without any real conscious effort, and one that's intentional, which is kind of what he and I did on this episode in rethinking the cards for this site, which I haven't actually had a chance to implement yet. So anyways, that's a good piece of content. And then this is just super practical to be able to look at this and see how all these buttons work, because I feel like one of the things that's hard about every tool, right? Learning code, learning design, is so much of it isn't like I have a thing in my head and I'd like it to be on the screen. It's I don't know what button to push. I don't know what this word means when you say it. And so a lot of times the difficult part of coding or design is the vocabulary. It's the jargon. It's the, what does this symbol mean, or what does this word mean? And demystifying that goes such a long way, I think.
100%. That Dan Mall episode was really good. I watched it live, and I really admire the way he thinks about design and development and moving between the two as he creates.
He's got a good brain, that Dan Mall.
Agreed. Yes.
We should all aspire to have a good brain like Dan. Okay, so let's go back in here. So we've done two things now that are potentially problematic. One is we just straight copy pasted that whole nav. So now if I go in here and I make a change, I think, let's find out. So if I go in here and I decide I'm gonna move this, like I don't want it to be there anymore. Now my nav looks different.
Not consistent. So before we copy and paste, we want to make that component. Okay. That nav component. So just like we made the live button component, we're going to do the same thing for the entire nav.
For the entire nav. So let's call this nav bar. This was that's my toggle, right?
Switch. Yep. Toggle.
So let's get that in here. That I want that in the content, I think, but not there. I want that to be here. Neat. Why don't you want to align?
So when we have a auto layout, we get some more options on our child elements. Constraints are cool, and I wish we had more time to talk about that. But let's look at the alignment panel again in the top. With the switch selected, you can see it's aligned top in the very top. Yeah. So we want to vertically align center.
Oh, cool. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. That's super cool. All right. So I've done that, and now I have my nav content, and then I need to get my nav bar. That's all in there. And if I take all of these, drop them in, and move this back above it.
Just like Z-index in code there in our layers panel, we can
perfect. So now things. I'm just going to turn this into a component. And then let's take this out. We'll move it into our
components page.
Components page. And then I'll be able to come in here and just drag it in. And let's position it like so. All right, so I've made one mistake that I can see, which is that the because the top of the flag of this clips out, it doesn't want to align the way that I want it to. That's not something we're going to worry about today, I don't think. I think we just let that one be. I can take this, move that into here, so that it's not sitting out like that. Okay, so now if we look in our assets panel, we've got, here's the logo, here's our button, here's our nav bar. So if we need to use that anywhere, we can. And then what's exciting about that is if I create my copy here, then this nav bar is no longer like, let's just get rid of, we'll just pull this out. I'm going to pull this switch out. It's not going to let me do that at all, is it? Because it's part of a different thing.
Because it's an instance of the component and not the master, we're not able to reorder things like that. We can hide and show like you just did.
That's cool that it just worked.
And
like, hey, we're not live. That's what it looks like when it's not live.
Yeah.
The auto layout stuff, that's incredible, because that was something that I never would have bothered to mock up in other design tools, because I was like, it's going to be a lot of work. This is what the button looks like. It'll be here. I would have just pointed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay. I'm suitably impressed. I think we've done, like, this is awesome work.
So I want to show light mode here.
Mm-hmm.
So your light mode has a slightly lighter background in the navigation. So we can use an over. Yes, I believe so. I think you have a screenshot. I could be, no, it is different. It's changing. Unless there's like opacity going on or something, but you can see that.
It probably, I mean, like I said, I did silly things. It's an odd.
So maybe we don't want this eventually. That's okay. But I just kind of want to demonstrate like how I would go about doing light mode and dark mode,
for sure,
while also keeping things organized in components. So let's override the background of our navigation, the background color, and just make it a little bit of a lighter blue or something. Great.
Yeah, that seems good.
So this is still a component, still part of our nav bar component, but we have given an override to it with this background fill. But we probably want to repeat this light mode version of your nav bar. So what we can do is nest components. So if we select this nav bar component instance in our layers palette on the left, and then click create component again.
What?
We now have a new master component, and this is going to be the light mode. And we can use the slash to kind of group these, just like we did with our colors.
So if I go to my assets, or wait, it didn't work. How do I, I need to move it. So let me move it in to here. And then I can rename this one to dark mode.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll come out here. Here's my light mode. So let's go to assets. Look at that. That is so dope. Okay. So now I've got this, and I'm going to just pull this across, and we'll just do the nudgy thing to make it line up the way I want. That is beautiful. I mean, that's so cool that just works.
Super cool. So then we have this nested component, right? We have the light one has a component instance inside of it with an override on the background color. So if we do want to change something that is not overridable, for example, adding a new element, a new layer, changing positioning of something, we'd have to go back to that original dark mode master that we made. And then it would update across the dark mode and the light mode.
Okay, so if I want to, let's say I want to do that. So I'm going to go to my asset, and I'm going to go to dark mode, and I'm just going to say, in our dark mode, we don't actually want this this switch. So I'm going to pull that out entirely. It updated the light mode, and that also means that it's updated both the dark and the light mode.
Exactly.
That is very cool stuff. And I broke it. Where was my, here? Where did my switch go? What am I doing?
Did you delete it or just move it? You could Command Z.
I thought I did Command Z, but I clearly didn't. That's okay. So I Command X, which should have been Command Zable. I don't know. I probably just did something goofy. But regardless, we're here. We've got our nav bar now works. And I just remembered I have a slightly different version of the Learn with Jason logo for light mode. So we can do the same thing here. So let's do, we'll make this one logo dark mode. And then I'm going to, I guess in this case, I would just like put the other one in here. And we can make sure that it's the same size. So this one is what? 91.98. Let's maybe make that less terrible, 92. Okay, and then I can make this one 92. And we'll call this logo light mode. And so then I think this is going to let me do something that I really love, which is in here, I've got the logo dark mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if I go over here and I have logo dark mode, I can just switch it over to light mode.
Yep. Super cool. I'm glad you brought this up.
Oh, I love it so much.
So just like the background color or the text characters themselves, they are overrides. We can override nested component instances with any other component we want. And it's going to
so
try and
cool.
keep the same aspect ratio. So like if we were doing, some other, trying to nest some other random component in here, it could look pretty weird. But because you set them up to be the same
Right
aspect ratio, they are the same logo, just with some different colors, it works perfectly.
It's incredible because if you noticed, so I changed out the light mode and the dark mode. Let me double check that I did that over here as well. I didn't. So what I'm going to want to do then is let's just push my overrides. I'm learning so many things. And so there it is. Now we've got our light mode logo and our dark mode logo. And so it just lets us do stuff like, okay, I want to show a new logo. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pull in the dark mode logo. And okay, I'm happy with that, but let's switch it to light mode because that's the mode we're in. So I can just drag that around, and then it's just incredible. Oh, now we're back into dark mode. Switch it over to dark mode, and it's so powerful what that enables us to do. Like, this is not like this is so far from the Photoshop stuff that I used to do back in the day.
Yeah, same.
And just
it was a struggle.
Yeah, and it's such a power. Like Photoshop is an incredible tool. I'm not knocking it at all, but for the web, it doesn't handle the multivariate nature of the web when you're doing multiple layouts, when you're doing multiple aspect ratios, when you've got modes and states that you're going to get into. It's really, really hard to model that. And I feel like this gives us a much better sense of control where we're only modeling the things that actually changed instead of having to copy paste this nav over. And then if I make changes to the nav, I got to go fix 40 instances of the nav. It really helps to keep things simple.
Agreed. Yeah. It's really built for designing for the web.
Mm-hmm.
And the thought that's gone into all of the features and functionality is really par none.
Yeah. It's
in my opinion.
It's great stuff. Okay, so we've got about 15 minutes left. I feel like there was something else that you wanted to show that we did not get to.
So we could breeze through a couple things and maybe not go as in depth as we have here. How about we look at the prototype tab in the right?
Yes, let's do that.
So in here we can create interactions, clickable prototypes. If you've ever used InVision, this is kind of like InVision, but just right in your design tool. You don't need to export and then create hotspots. It's just ready to go with all sorts of features like animation, sticky headers, sticky navs. So we could use, let's do an example, and then we could maybe wire it up to your actual design too.
Mm-hmm. You see that button? I love this button, the tidy up.
The tidy up button.
So good. Okay, so I'm going to just do just so we can show how it works.
Yeah.
And we can make these nice and large. We will not use the nav item style. We will instead make it like that. Let's text align, line middle, and then we'll just keep going. Boom, 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 boom. All right. So then if I take these and we align them top, something like that, you know.
Good enough.
Good enough. Good enough indeed. I love how quick that makes it. Like you just drag it around and it's like, there you go, you're in the center.
Yep.
So then if I go to this prototype mode, so what I want, here's what I want to happen. I want to make an endless loop. I want you to start here, click to here, and then click back to the beginning.
Yeah, sure. So in the prototype mode, you'll notice as we hover, we have some different things happening. So you hover over the boop, there's a little circle on the right. Hover over the boop text itself. Do you want to click just the boop text or the whole frame?
This is fine. Let's do this.
Cool. So yeah, that little circle is screaming, click me. So let's click it and we can drag from here to the yo.
Look at it go. Look at it go. Okay, so this is to the frame.
Yep.
And it looks like it just wants to go to the frame.
Correct. Yes.
So now I'm going to click here. To the frame.
Yep.
And then
all the way back
we go
to
back.
our boop. And you'll notice we have interaction options on the top right once one of these is clicked. So we have it by default, it's on click. We're going to navigate to frame, but yeah, it could be mouse enter, mouse leave, mouse up. You know, we have all these different interactions like we're used to in JavaScript.
Okay.
But this is already set up to go. We don't have any animation. Maybe we could add an animation.
Yeah, we do. What does all this mean? I'm going to smart animate and see what happens because I have literally no idea what that means.
I've actually never used this feature.
So let's find out. It'll be fun.
Be a surprise. Yeah.
So then is it the play button?
Yeah, the present button will take us into a new mode where we can interact.
Yeah. And then I can
Boop yourself.
Share the prototype and we can copy the link. And I didn't realize it was going to show everybody's names. Sorry, y'all. But now when you can go click this and look at this. So if I click somewhere that's not clickable, it shows me what on the prototype is clickable. So that is really helpful. Like if you're doing a wireframe and you just want to show one flow, you don't have to wire up the whole thing. You can just be like, yeah, I want you to go to this page and then click the submit button. And don't worry if the nav doesn't work. Like I'm showing you this flow. It helps you as a designer control what you're presenting.
Yeah, exactly. This is super useful for getting feedback from your teammates, communicating your ideas, and like XVLUF brings up, Smart Animate works really well for more complex things like drop downs, accordions, etc. So we're only scratching the surface here. I'm just kind of trying to show you this exists.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more that you can do with it.
Yeah.
We can show one more thing, which is on your navigation that we were working on prior. If we wanted this to stay above everything else as we scroll down, we can click on that navigation component and there should be a fixed position when scrolling in the constraints menu.
Okay.
So now go to present mode again.
Oh wait, I have to actually set this to be. How do I leave? Help.
Escape. Top right, there's maybe an option. Escape does not work.
Why are you like this? Whatever. I'm sure there's a button that I'm just not pushing, but I'll just go back out. This will be fine. No, crap. What have I done? Okay, open an editor. That's what I need. Open an editor.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so
we
this
got to
one,
select the frame.
I need to be
before we go into present mode.
Prototype. We need vertical scrolling, and then what?
Oh, good point. I think we can go to present mode now.
It wants.
Going to.
I think it's because we put the interactions on the other thing. So let me bounce out real quick and let's take these to another page. So we'll just put these in here with their interactions and everything in place. But then when we go to the design, that should take it out of there. And maybe just to like tell it what to do, we'll just have these linked to each other. But let's then play.
Fingers crossed. There we go. So you can see
Now it looks like a fixed nav.
top. Yep.
That's amazing.
And then just
and then
like
this one's not fixed.
We could wire up those nav items to be clickable if we wanted as we're developing this out, and then maybe we want to share it with our colleague. And it just comes to life, and it's much more communicative of the idea that you're going for when you can actually click on the thing and interact with it. Yeah,
this is, I mean, it's incredibly powerful how much we can do here. Like the amount of like, it feels like it was built for the web, right? Like the things that we just did felt like things that I would want to show somebody about my website. Here, I want to build this interaction. I want the scroll to be fixed. I want the, you know, like this kind of transition between things. Like if you were going to show a like maybe a page expansion or something. And it's so interesting that stuff is possible, right? That it works this way. And I find that really, it's really exciting and really empowering. Because a lot of times I don't want to have to build out a whole thing. I don't want to code up a full prototype to show you an idea. Sometimes I just want to show you the idea, and it's like, you know, I could draw it on paper, and when I draw it on paper, I have to do a lot of explaining and hand gestures to get the point across. But I don't want to code it because that'll take me hours. But if I open up Figma and I make like 3 little wireframe drawings and then I link those together with a prototype, I can get a lot of the benefit of having coded it in like 45 minutes of drawing boxes.
Yep, 100%. Well said. That's how I think about it too. Sometimes Figma is the right tool for the job. Sometimes I skip right to code when I'm very confident in the thing I want to build. But when I need to do some more exploratory, or maybe I need to get some sign off from my colleague in a quick way, Figma is the tool I reach for.
Yeah, it's really great. And Sam, I think you're joking about how can you print to web, but check this out. All right, let's look at this. I'm gonna go into our desktop. I'm gonna look at this navbar light mode, and like, let's say we want to show this these nav items. I can go click on these nav items, click on code, and it wrote my CSS for me. Like it's got to set up with with Flexbox. It's got to set up with the padding and settings like that. Like some of it's not super useful, like position static, but this is incredible, right? The fact that it's building, like, here's your alignment, here's the margins that you set. Really, really, really cool. But yeah, so this I think is this is a rabbit hole that goes all the way down, right? It's turtles on top of turtles on top of turtles. But I do think this is probably a good spot to stop for now.
Cool.
Ryan, thank you so much for giving us this tour. I feel like this has leveled me up in Figma. I hope that it leveled you up, chat. I am very, very pleased with how far we were able to get in so little time. Like, just to recap, what we were able to do in the time that we had, we took screenshots. So these are screenshots, but we were able to go in and completely reconstruct the nav. And then we set up the nav in such a way that it's now a Figma component with auto layout. So if I go in here and I turn one of these off, it relays out the rest of that nav bar for us so that we don't have to go in and manually tweak things. We also got it set up so that we can select our light or our dark mode from a dropdown. And we can just say, oh, we're going to do a dark mode page, so let's put it in dark mode. And all of that is managed in these components here, so that we can just select them from our assets panel. We're able to just go get our logo, our nav bar, et cetera, et cetera. So Ryan, where should people go if they want to learn more about Figma, and also if they want to learn more about you?
So about Figma has some great tutorials on their website. To learn more about me, I'll drop a link in the chat.
How do you find Figma's website when you're already logged into Figma? Does it let you do that?
I think it might be like help.figma.com. Yes.
There you go. Okay.
So there's a bunch of tutorials here, goes in more in depth on some of the things we talked about today.
Is this right?
I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitch. Yes. Oh, no, it's ryan.warner.codes. And then you could go to, yeah, go ahead and bring this up. I actually just released this V2. Haven't really told anyone about it.
Look at this.
But here it is. You can click that if you want.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. Okay, well, this was...
Spam that art, yes.
So good.
So yeah, there's going to be more Figma tutorials and learning coming from me. I'm actually in training to be an egghead instructor this month. And my first collection is going to be all about Figma.
Awesome.
So look out for that. If you want to go to /social on my website, I just have all the links.
Oh, there it is.
Twitter, I'm on Twitch, I stream occasionally. GitHub, the Figma profile might be worth clicking here.
Figma?
So Figma is working on a community platform where people can publish their Figma files, kind of like GitHub. So it's like open source designs, which is pretty revolutionary. We've got things like Dribble and Behance, but those are like closed source, you might say. Okay. You see the end product, you see the PNG, the flat file. Mm-hmm. But here, if you scroll down, like we could post what we made today if we wanted. And you can click one of these and just duplicate it. And now you have a copy of the source file. So I've got my website here, and then I've got these social branding templates, and I've got some more.
This one is also extremely cool. So this is like if you want to do, here's your Twitter page, and then I want to see what this looks like, so I can drag in. We'll just put one of these in, but oops. So if I like put this in, you see how it's updating over here at the same time? And this is using all the same concepts that we did today, right? Like it's
exactly
components, and then the instances are kind of duplicated across, and then we've got the layering. This is really, really powerful stuff, like extremely cool stuff. And then you've got it set up so that if what am I doing?
I need to change that font. It's supposed to be the default Mac font, but you can change the font to anything you want.
Oh, it's fine. I'll throw in a photo instead. Let's do a corgi. This is the corgi Twitter profile, and there it is. It shows you like your whole Twitter setup, all in like just a couple seconds. So you can really test that out and play with it. And then it goes across a bunch of these, which is really, really fun.
Yeah. If you're spinning up a new brand, just using all this is doing is using the components that we talked about on stream today.
Go check this out. Okay, so I think that's a good stopping point. We've hit all we need to do. Ryan, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today. This was a blast.
Thanks for having me, Jason. This is awesome. Glad to be here.
So chat, from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go and raid somebody. But before we do that, let's talk for a minute about what's coming up on the show. Next week, we have Charlie Gerard is going to join us. And actually, let me move over here so we can actually see what I'm talking about. So Charlie Gerard is gonna join us, and we're gonna build a neurotech controlled JavaScript app. I don't even know what that means. The stuff that Charlie does is so off the charts that I don't even know how to like process it. Honestly, I'm just super excited to be involved. And then on Thursday we have Dr. Gleb Bamutov coming from Cyprus to show us how to do end-to-end testing. We are getting buried in boops, y'all. So it's going to be a really exciting week next week. We're going to do something really, really fun, and then we're going to do something that will be fun and extraordinarily practical. Like end-to-end testing is so much easier than you might think. Like Cypress is honestly the way that Figma today made design easier. Cypress did the same thing for end-to-end testing. So definitely come check out both episodes. They're going to be so much fun. It's going to expand your mind by 3 sizes. With that, one more thank you to White Coat Captioning for helping us with the captions today. Let's go take a look at this. Oh, please don't start playing audio. Don't play audio. Mute. Get out. All right. So thank you, White Coat Captioning, for helping us today. And thank you very much to our sponsors, Netlify and Fauna. I got to fix those logos that only work in dark mode. Netlify and Fauna make this possible. So thank you all. We will see you on Tuesday. Enjoy your weekend.